Illuminati, the granddaddy of all conspiracy theories. The original Illuminati was a real secret society founded in Bavaria in 1776 by Adam Weishaupt, dissolved within a decade. The modern conspiracy theory holds that a shadowy global elite, bankers, politicians, celebrities, secretly controls governments, economies, and media from behind the scenes, orchestrating world events toward a new world order. It's been so thoroughly absorbed into pop culture that it's become almost comedic, with triangles and eyes spotted in every music video and logo. Fake moon landings. The claim that NASA's Apollo missions, particularly Apollo 11 in 1969, were staged on a film set, possibly directed by Stanley Kubrick. Proponents cite the waving flag, the lighting in photographs, and the Van Allen radiation belts as supposed evidence. The conspiracy requires the silence of roughly 400,000 NASA employees and contractors. The moon landings are among the most thoroughly documented events in human history, with independent verification from multiple countries including the Soviet Union, who had every incentive to expose a hoax. Atlantis, the lost civilization described by Plato around 360 BC as a powerful island nation that sank into the ocean. Plato almost certainly intended it as a philosophical allegory, but centuries of speculation have turned it into a genuine obsession. Proposed locations include the Mediterranean, the Atlantic Ocean, Antarctica, and the Caribbean. No archaeological evidence of Atlantis has ever been found, but the idea of a highly advanced prehistoric civilization lost to catastrophe is deeply compelling and refuses to die. Area 51, a highly classified U.S. Air Force facility in Nevada that spent decades being officially denied entirely, which naturally made it the epicenter of UFO and alien conspiracy theories. It is real. It was used to develop and test secret aircraft like the U-2 spy plane and the SR-71 Blackbird, and the secrecy was genuine, just not for extraterrestrial reasons. Theories range from stored alien spacecraft and bodies from Roswell to underground bases and reverse-engineered alien technology. The government officially acknowledged the base's existence in 2013. Loch Ness Monster, the beloved Scottish cryptid, allegedly a large aquatic creature living in Loch Ness in the Scottish Highlands. The modern myth was launched by a 1934 photograph later admitted to be a hoax involving a toy submarine with a sculpted head. Multiple sonar sweeps and scientific surveys of the loch have found nothing. The most plausible scientific explanation is that sightings are misidentifications of large catfish, floating logs, or optical illusions. It remains the world's most famous cryptid and a major tourist attraction. Torres Earth, a fringe cosmological theory claiming the Earth is not a globe but shaped like a torus, a donut. Proponents argue that conventional physics and geography can be reinterpreted through a toroidal model, and that this shape explains certain phenomena mainstream science supposedly can't. It's a step beyond flat Earth in terms of obscurity, and has a much smaller following, but shares the same core rejection of established science and the same reliance on hidden knowledge framing. Nikola Tesla. Tesla is a genuine historical genius, the inventor of alternating current, the radio, and numerous other technologies, who died broke and largely forgotten, with many of his papers seized by the U.S. government upon his death. This real injustice has made him a magnet for conspiracy theories claiming he discovered free energy, earthquake machines, death rays, and methods of wireless global power transmission that were all suppressed by J.P. Morgan and other elites who couldn't profit from free energy. Some theories link him to extraterrestrial contact. He was brilliant and was genuinely wronged by history, which makes the mythology feel earned even when it goes off the rails. Time Cube, one of the internet's most legendary pieces of outsider philosophy, created by Jean Ray starting in the late 1990s. Ray claimed that time is cubic rather than linear, that a single day actually contains 4 simultaneous days, one for each corner of a cube, and that all of academia, science, and religion was engaged in a conspiracy to suppress this truth. The writing is famously incoherent, filled with all caps rage and accusations of evil educators. It's difficult to tell where sincere belief ends and something else begins, but Time Cube became a cult internet artifact and an early example of a deeply personal, totally unfalsifiable alternative cosmology. Denver Airport. Denver International Airport, opened in 1995, is genuinely one of the strangest public buildings in America. It features enormous murals depicting apocalyptic scenes of cities burning, children in coffins, and a gas-masked soldier with a sword. There are gargoyle statues in luggage areas. A dramatic blue horse sculpture with glowing red eyes killed its own creator when a piece fell on him. A dedication capstone references the New World Airport Commission, a group no one can find any record of. The airport's own social media leans into the conspiracy theories with winking humor. Whether it's all just provocative art or genuinely coded symbolism depends entirely on how far down the rabbit hole you are. Roswell. In July 1947, something crashed on a ranch near Roswell, New Mexico. The U.S. Army Air Force initially announced they had recovered a flying disc, then retracted it saying it was a weather balloon. Decades later, the government admitted it was a classified Project Mogul balloon designed to monitor Soviet nuclear tests. The initial announcement and retraction set off a firestorm of speculation that has never fully subsided. Roswell became ground zero for UFO mythology, alleged alien autopsies, and claims of recovered extraterrestrial craft. The government's repeated revisions of the official story, however justified, permanently destroyed their credibility on the subject with a large portion of the public. Grey goo. A genuine existential risk scenario first proposed by nanotechnology pioneer Eric Drexler in 1986. If self-replicating nanobots were ever created, a malfunction could cause them to consume all available matter on Earth to make copies of themselves, reducing the planet to a gray, undifferentiated mass of nanobots, grey goo, within days. Most nanotechnologists now consider this scenario implausible for practical engineering reasons, but it became a canonical entry in discussions of existential and technological risk. It sits at the intersection of real science and apocalyptic speculation. Fermi paradox. The idea that the silence of the universe isn't just a scientific puzzle, but evidence of active suppression. Governments may have made contact with extraterrestrial civilizations and are hiding it. Or the reason no aliens are detectable is something much darker. A predatory civilization that destroys any species that becomes detectable, meaning broadcasting our presence was the worst thing we could have done. This dark forest interpretation, popularized by Chinese science fiction author Liu Cixin, reframes the Fermi paradox from a scientific mystery into something resembling a cosmic horror scenario. Aleph. This one is significantly more obscure. Aleph is a term from Jewish mysticism and mathematics. In Kabbalah, it represents the infinite, the first and most fundamental principle. In mathematics, Georg Cantor used Aleph to denote different sizes of infinity. In conspiracy and esoteric circles, Aleph refers to hidden knowledge about the fundamental structure of reality, sometimes linked to numerology, sacred geometry, or the idea that certain symbols and numbers encode information about the universe that has been deliberately concealed from the public. The vagueness is part of its power. It functions as a label for whatever the deepest truth is. We are in a simulation. A growing number of people, including some physicists and Silicon Valley figures, sincerely believe we are living in a computer simulation run by a more advanced civilization. Evidence cited includes the mathematical nature of physical laws, the Planck scale as a possible pixel size, and the existence of quantum uncertainty as a rendering optimization. The philosophical implications are staggering. If true, the simulators are functionally our gods, physical death may not be permanent, and the rules of reality could theoretically be edited. Admiral Byatt expedition. Already covered in the Antarctica iceberg above, but here it reappears in a broader conspiracy context, specifically the claim that Operation Highjump encountered hostile non-human forces, that Byatt's journals contain coded references to hollow Earth discoveries, and that everything about his expeditions was classified to suppress evidence of civilizations beneath the ice. The repetition of Byatt across multiple conspiracy icebergs shows how central his expeditions are to fringe cosmology. Aztec gold, a broad category of lost treasure mythology surrounding Aztec civilization. The most famous version involves Moctezuma's treasure, the vast wealth of the Aztec Empire allegedly hidden from Spanish conquistadors and never found. Various locations have been proposed, including beneath Lake Texcoco, where Tenochtitlan once stood, in cave systems in Mexico, or smuggled into the American Southwest. The conspiracy angle involves suppression of archaeological discoveries, secret knowledge held by indigenous communities, and government-level cover-ups of found treasures. It bleeds into broader theories about suppressed pre-Columbian history. Chemtrails. The theory that the white condensation trails left by aircraft, contrails, formed when hot exhaust meets cold air, are actually chemical or biological agents deliberately sprayed on the population for purposes ranging from weather control to population reduction to mind control. Atmospheric scientists have extensively explained contrail formation, and independent analyses of alleged chemtrail samples have found nothing beyond normal combustion byproducts. The theory has proven remarkably resilient because contrails are visible to everyone, variable in duration and spread depending on atmospheric conditions, and the scale of the alleged spraying program would require the cooperation of every pilot and airline worker on Earth. Agartha, a mythical subterranean civilization said to exist deep within the Earth, populated by an advanced race that retreated underground thousands of years ago. The concept blends hollow Earth theory with Tibetan Buddhist mythology. References to a hidden kingdom called Shambhala or Agartha appear in various esoteric traditions. In Western occultism, it was popularized in the 19th century by writers like Edward Bulwer Lytton and later by theosophists. Nazi expeditions to Tibet were partly motivated by a desire to make contact with Agartha. In modern conspiracy theory, it connects to hollow Earth entrances in Antarctica or the Arctic, and is sometimes linked to claims of underground tunnels connecting secret bases worldwide. Greek fire, a real incendiary weapon used by the Byzantine Empire from around the 7th century AD, capable of burning on water and nearly impossible to extinguish. Its formula was a closely guarded state secret and was lost, almost certainly when Constantinople fell to the Ottomans in 1453. Modern chemists have proposed it was based on quicklime, naphtha, or pine resin, but the exact composition remains unknown. The conspiracy angle here is the idea that genuinely transformative ancient technologies have been lost, destroyed, or suppressed throughout history, Greek fire being the most concrete example. It supports the broader fringe narrative that ancient civilizations were far more advanced than mainstream history acknowledges. Living water, a concept with roots in both religious tradition and fringe science. In esoteric and alternative health communities, living water refers to water that has been structured, energized, or altered at a molecular level, claimed to have healing properties, improved bioavailability, or metaphysical significance. Figures like Masaru Emoto, who claim that human emotions and words could alter the crystalline structure of water, fall into this category. Mainstream chemistry finds no evidence for structured water under normal conditions, but the idea persists in wellness communities, sometimes linked to claims that municipal water treatment deliberately destroys these properties to keep people unhealthy. Eye of Africa. The Richat structure in Mauritania, a massive, eerily circular geological formation, roughly 50 kilometers across, visible from space and remarkably concentric in its ring patterns. Geologists explain it as a symmetrical uplift of rock that eroded into its current shape over hundreds of millions of years. But its near-perfect circular form has made it irresistible to theorists who claim it is the remains of Atlantis, matching Plato's description of a circular city with concentric rings of land and water. Satellite imagery has made this one of the more visually compelling fringe theories. It genuinely does look astonishing from above, and the size roughly matches some interpretations of Plato's account. Moon is artificial. The theory that Earth's moon is not a natural celestial body, but a hollow, artificial construct, essentially a giant spacecraft or space station placed in orbit by an unknown civilization. Proponents cite the moon's suspiciously circular orbit, its exact size relative to the sun that produces perfect solar eclipses, anomalous seismic data from moonquakes, and the fact that the moon's surface appears older than its interior as evidence. The spaceship moon hypothesis was first seriously proposed by two Soviet scientists in 1970, partly as a provocation. Some versions claim it is inhabited inside, others that it functions as a monitoring or broadcasting device. Skinwalkers. Rooted in Navajo tradition, a skinwalker is a type of harmful witch who has gained the power to transform into, possess, or disguise themselves as any animal. The concept is deeply sacred and genuinely feared in Navajo culture, to the point where many community members refuse to discuss it with outsiders. In broader internet and conspiracy culture, skinwalkers have been absorbed into a general category of shape-shifting entities encountered in rural and wilderness areas, generating a large genre of allegedly true horror stories. The intersection of genuine indigenous spiritual belief, appropriation, and internet horror mythology makes this one of the more culturally complex entries on the chart. That was the first part to the conspiracy theory iceberg. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.